Welcome, one and all, to another tier list that Danger Post South wanted to make because he was bored at home. And today we are gonna be talking about Smash Brothers Spiritless battles. I went through an entire series of just me facing against these really tough spirit battles without using any spirits, and some characters are just better than others. So I made a tier list, or am going to make a tier list, how good each character is in each environment. This is also kind of like a who's a good cheesing character, like how good can they just like gimmick a character off stage, or it's also situational when it comes to like certain fight. Like one character will be good in this fight, but he might also struggle in this fight. I just wanted to go through the 80 plus characters and see how well or how good most of them are when it comes to these spirit battles. Hopefully you agree with my opinion, otherwise there's a comment section down below where you can criticize and argue with me. Alright, let's get started. Let's start off with everyone's favorite plumber man, Jumpman Mario. He has a lot of cool like uses with grab, but it's mainly his side B and down B, which can get you a lot of cheeky kills. Honestly, just caping an opponent off stage is honestly like the best thing that you can do in certain battles, and that just automatically makes you one of the better spirit characters, or at least has multiple options for spiritless battles, as I like to put it. And I guess while we're doing that, I guess we can talk about the clone characters, like Dr. Mario. Like, he's trading recovery for raw power, and for something like this, I actually think that's a little bit better in some instances. Like, you're only going to be doing like 2% per hit, and at least your knockback is going to be a lot stronger, you know? The only time you're going to see heavy hitter characters be better than the original. It's interesting to hear, right? Next up is Donkey Kong, and I used him as plenty of times because his up B can just delete Harsh Wind, which is like the most obnoxious spirit bite in the game. And if you could do that, you're automatically classified as one of the best spiritless characters. Donkey Kong also just has a lot of sheer power, and also has one of the best grabs in the game. So all of that just combined with just up B in general makes him like a pocket character. Like everyone has a pocket DK, even me. Next up, we'll just kind of lump like all the links together because like, I mean, come on, it's the same character but with a different palette. What all three of them have in common is that they have really good projectiles, and that's what they utilize most of the time, just projectiles. Two of them also have tether grabs, which is good for walk-off stages, but I mean, if one character is good with walk-off stages, I guess all of them are technically good at them. They're just easier to pull off with them. So I guess Link is kind of like the best. I mean, he has like one or two niches, but I guess also Young Link also has one or two niches. I think Young Link's projectiles is actually just better in general, and I think Toon Link is honestly just the worst. But I still think they have at least one or two niches in spiritless battles. Samus and Dark Samus are kind of like the Links, but like Charge Shot is just so broken that it doesn't really matter. So like, I guess it has enough good traits to be in spiritless battles because you can also like use up air chains off of the top of the screen if you're good enough. Like me, who is not good enough, but you can see these guys pop up, or gals in this case, just pop up frequently in spiritless fights. Yoshi is one of those characters that is just average at best. You can use like Egglay to cheese some super armor characters off stage, but like honestly there's just better options in general. You can have some survivability, Yoshi. Let's lump two other characters together, that being Kirby and Dedede, because they behave exactly the same. And both of them are like really good. The biggest thing that these two can do is just inhale and then just kamikaze. And most of the time they're gonna survive because they have the better recovery. But I think Diddy has the edge of not only the weight, but also the range, and also is one of the best characters to deal with the 13 Sentinel pilots, which my therapist said has not left my head, and it really should leave my head. But Kirby also would be classified as one of the best spiritless characters, because, you know, Uppy Final Cutter is also just another great move, so reasonably you could put these two either or. I think I'll give the edge to Kirby more because he has at least more jumps and is a little bit more easier to inhale cheese, but that's about all I can really give him. Again, these two can go either way. And now we're moving on to the space animals. If this was like a boss fight sort of thing in World of Light, then this would be easy. These guys would be top tier. But in regular spirit fights, they're really just not that good. Or at least they're situational at best. Like, I mean, if a character is spamming projectiles, these guys are obviously there for the job. If there's items on the field, then they're obviously there for the job. Falco is really good at edge guarding, so I think he has at least an edge over all of these guys. Like, you have someone that can easily not only combo you in stamina, but can actually edge guard you in stamina. That's a really good trait to have. Pikachu is really good because Pikachu is Pikachu. Obviously, tier list will take its consideration to this one because, well, he can edge guard, he can camp, he can do a lot of things that most other characters can't. I would say he's like kind of like on the lower end of the spectrum though, because he's still really light. But we also have Pichu here, who is undoubtedly one of the worst Spiritless characters in the game. Not only you hurt yourself when you actually use a move, but you're also incredibly light. The lightest in the game, mind you. And if you get hit at like a very low percent, there's a strong chance you are just gonna die. That's kind of like the only reason, but that little damage that you make up and the damage that you accumulate over time just isn't worth it. Honestly, you're just better off going Pikachu in this case, even if you have like easy thunders or something like that. Next up we have Luigi. He's also just kind of average at best. He has a good like tether grab, which means I guess he's probably better than Yoshi in this case. And that's kind of about it. I mean, he's not like good at cheesing like all the other characters. Like, I mean, if you're good at comboing a big guy, big deal. And anyone can really do that. Next up we have Ness and Lucas. Honestly, only thing that you really need with Ness is just PK Fire, because that just destroys in stamina. You really don't need much else. And I think I just find that really funny. Lucas, on the other hand, I mean, he also is pretty good, has good enough traits to, you know, persevere enough, but not like anywhere else near these guys. Let's group another two characters together, Captain Falcon and Ganondorf. Captain Falcon will mostly just use Up B for super armor characters, kind of like his main trait, but he has a lot of combos that he can deal on weaker characters, so I think he's at least kind of better than the two Links down here, but not as good as regular Link, if that makes any sense. But then Ganondorf. Oh, Ganondorf is one of the best characters in this mode. I mean, he's not only aggressively strong, he also has a command grab, or two command grabs, and just one of the strongest spikes in the game. He also has just a lot of, like, only he can do sort of scenarios, or what he can do is the best scenario. And, I mean, just his strength in general is just that good. I don't think he's the equivalent of Donkey Kong versatility-wise, but have you ever seen Ganondorf this high? But, take my word for it, Ganon is broken. And I guess, you know, why don't we just, like, lump all the Pokemon together? Because at this point, if we're just, like, taking all the Pokemon into consideration, why don't we just talk about them all? So first off, we have Jigglypuff, who is kind of like Kirby, but with much less cheese. I mean, rest is kind of detrimental in this mode, so don't really go for that, but tearing your opponents off the stage, that's really good. That's like better than Falco good. Mewtwo, very light, has a decent reflector, and that's kind of like has one or two niches. Not great, but like you're good, but not great. That's all I'll give you that. Pokemon Trainer, I'm just gonna give it Pokemon Trainer. One of like literally the best, better than the best, because you just have three characters that are from average to good. Let's start off with like the best one, that being like Squirtle. Squirtle has just a thing that can go through like strong winds with withdrawal. That alone is just really good. But it's also just really good at comboing characters. Not really great at killing, but hey, he also has Water Gun, kind of like Mario's Flood, so I'd say multiple options for Spirit Battles. Charizard I would probably put up if it's like a good enough traits. Like, he's a heavy hitter, but he also has multiple jumps, so he can edge guard a lot of characters. Less consistent than Jigglypuff, but also good. And Ivysaur is just, he's just painfully average. Like, kind of like one or two niches. And that's kind of about it for Ivysaur. But together, they're like the best. Like, even better. Just having them all three in general is just that good. Lucario is another weird one because I feel like it's kind of like the idea of if you're at big damage, then you'll do really good. But considering most Spirit Battles will end with you dying at 60 anyways, Lucario might not be that great. I mean, I think he is at least better than some of the other guys, but not like greats, you know? Greninja is somehow even worse, honestly. I'll be completely honest. Greninja does not have that many great traits. Can't really kill that well. He's good at comboing, but when the enemy AI can just SDI perfectly and air dodge out of every single potentially true combo that Greninja has, just not worth it. And finally, we have Incineroar, which is not only a great combo character, can just also cheese with up B very well. Also, again, very heavy, very strong, top tier, honestly, very much a top tier. And also a command grab because he needs it. Okay, I want to mention Peach and Daisy real quick because if I don't mention it, then someone in the comments is going to mention it. Peach and Daisy can just deal with the 13 Sentinel pilots very easily with just using up B, and you know what? Credit where credit is due. I didn't think to do that. You're still average at best for both characters. I mean, unless you are the luckiest person in the world, can just pull stitches and bombs every single time, you're average at best, but I think you're definitely better than, like, Luigi. Bowser's a weird case because although he has a lot of strength, he's also just doesn't have enough edge guarding rules to it. I mean, you have fair, but I mean, the enemy AI will just air dodge perfectly after every escapable combo anyways. But, oh well. He's at least good enough, so he has multiple options for Spirit Battles, but again, on the lower end of the spectrum. Now, I guess while we're talking about him, let's talk about his son real quick. Bowser Jr. is just pretty decent overall. Has a projectile, can edgeguard pretty easily. He's actually kind of an underrated pick, I won't even lie. I just don't use him because who really uses Bowser Jr. in this game? I would say he's definitely kind of around like Pikachu or something like that. And then we have Ice Climbers. Ice Climbers, I mean, I'm not good with Ice Climbers, and I think this is going to be a special one where I don't even really know where to put them. I mean, if you're really good at desync combos, which I have absolutely no idea how desync combos work. Unless you have a third hand, I don't think desync combos are really going to help you out in Spirit Battles. If you lose Nana, you're kind of screwed. That's kind of about all I can really say. Also, you have your Final Smash there too, and I kind of forgot to mention that. Their Final Smash is at least good enough. I should probably, like, reevaluate this list for, like, Final Smashes and all that such, but I'll do that when I finish the tier list. But let's talk about two of the funniest characters on this list, Sheik and Zelda. Sheik is terrible. Like, not as, like, bad as, like, Pichu terrible, but, like, oh, like, really, really bad. Like, you're dealing, like, 1% every hit, and they're gonna deal like 40 like multiple times, and you're just gonna die because you're Sheik and you're very light. I bet you're like Void or something like that. I highly doubt that Sheik is gonna be doing anything of meaningful damage. And then there's Zelda, and we're just not gonna sugarcoat it. Yeah, she's one of like the best characters in here. I mean, your Final Smash basically is just an instant auto win when you can just suck them up from the depths of hell. Has a reflector, has a really good anti-air, which can just break CPUs. Up B is really good, also can deal with the Sentinel pilots, and honestly, literally one of the best characters. You can't go wrong with Zelda in casual play. That's just a golden rule. Now we're on to the Fire Emblem characters, and I guess we'll knock them all out too because, hey, if there's one of them, you have to talk about all of them. Start with Marth and Lucina because, I mean, they're basically identical. Most of the time, you're just going to be edge guarding the characters, or best case scenario, you can use counter if they have like an Ore Club. Lucina, I feel like, is definitely more consistent in that sort of case, so kind of around like under here, right below Falco. Marth is, I would say Marth is the exact same, but you're Marth. You kind of have like very little tippers. Unless you're really good at landing tippers, I don't think you're really doing that well. It's kind of unfair. We'll put you like Fox and Wolf stare you down right here. I feel like this could be a thumbnail. Roy has a lot of strength, but not really a lot of edge guarding potential. I mean, you're probably the only character that can actually kill these CPUs really early, but I don't really think that's gonna help you out in the long run. I would say you have a few niches. You're like Captain Falcon, but a little bit worse. Chrom and Ike, you have up B, and that just kind of wins you most Spirit Battles. We're just gonna put you guys where you belong in the basically better than any other character, because you two basically trivialize the entire thing of Spiritless battles. Moving on. Robin is a weird case because you have to wait for your 11 sword to actually charge up, and that just takes a really long time, especially when the CPU's gimmicks can just show up right when your 11 sword charges up, and after that, you have to just basically start camping at this point. Which, I mean, you can do effectively. So I would say you have like at least a couple of niches. I feel like, I wouldn't say you're worse than Mewtwo though. Corrin is average. Literally, Corrin is literally average. Like, Ivysaur average. I mean, you have a couple of good, like, tippers, and you also have a counter, but it's not really as good. I mean, at least you have a counter when it comes to the Fire Emblem characters. But that's all I can really give you. You're like Ivysaur quality. Finally, we have Byleth, who is really strong, has a command grab up B, which I actually don't think it actually works on CPUs with heavy super armor. At least I don't think it does. You're at least good enough. I would say strength-wise, you're kind of like around with like Lucas. Like, you don't edge guard, but you're really strong. Like, heavyweight strong. Like, I would actually put you like, I'd probably like bring Bowser down a bit. Nah, Bowser's fine where he is. Next up, we have Mr. Game & Watch, who I have absolutely no idea where to put. He's okay. Like, he has a lot of interesting traits about him. Like, he's super light, but he also has a lot of good combo potential. I would say he's definitely one of those characters that has one or two niches. Kind of like on the lower end of the spectrum, though, because you're light. Yeah, you're like around here. So I guess we'll also lump a few other characters here, like Meta Knight, Pit, and Dark Pit, because their main job is to just edge guard. I mean, I think Meta Knight does it the best because you have multiple jumps, like the most amount of jumps when it comes to these characters, and a large, like, hitbox sort of thing, though I feel like you don't really have projectiles. So I think you would be better than, well, I'd say you're better than Charizard. But I think Pit is better than Meta Knight because he at least has a much bigger sword, has more, like, hitboxes, so you can deal with air dodges. But then I also think Dark Pit is better than regular Pit because Electro Shock Arm and the Dark Silver Bow arrows are just stronger. And I feel like at this point we should just bring Jigglypuff down to where she belongs, staring directly at Falco. Next up we have Zero Suit, which, Zero Suit's okay. I mean, she has a tether grab, which, I mean, can work with walk-off cheese, but I don't think she's not suitable. More like she's just painfully average. That's kind of all I got. If your character has like super curry breath or something like that, and you have to like constantly up B them to cheese them off the top, that's all I really can say that you can do for Zero Suit. But other than that, you're just kind of, again, painfully average. Next up, we got Wario. I mean, the main thing that you can really do is chomp. You can't even really charge up Waft for the most part. A minute 50 takes a while. It's not a multiple stock game, so Waft is basically useless unless you can utilize half Waft. You're average at best, and like Luigi average. I don't like the fact that these two are right next to each other. Snake, I feel like, is a sleeper character, but mostly because of Nikita and Final Smash. Like, Nikita is just a free edge guard for the most part, and his Final Smash literally just deletes you from a 1v1. So, yeah, has multiple options. But I feel like you have to actually get to that point, so yeah, you're at least better than Bowser in that case. Diddy Kong's also another underrated pick. I would feel like if all the underrated characters just has good enough traits, that's kind of all where I'm going to put you. Like, I don't really have anything to say about Diddy Kong because, oh yeah, you could use Banana to get a free hit in, but that's kind of about it. You don't really have much cheesing potential. Like, if you're really good with Diddy Kong, you're really good at Diddy Kong, and you're going to be really good at this. Yeah, that's a good spot for Diddy Kong. Sonic is also in that weird category of really good if you know how to play them, but I feel like that's kind of all I can really say. You're really good if you know how to play them. Like, he's good at edge guarding, he's good at running away, but other than that, you can't go wrong with him, but you can't do anything right with him. I actually just don't like Olimar and Spiritless battles because not only you have to prioritize the Pikmin for the most part, but you also have to, like, run away because all the Pikmin will just die. I don't really know how the CPUs work against with Pikmin. Like, I don't know if they prioritize killing the Pikmin over Olimar, but it definitely seems like it. You'd think you'd be good at stamina, but no, you can just use Vess's PK Fire, and that's a much more effective answer most of the time. That's all I can really say. Olimar's mid, and not even mid, really bad. I think Olimar's just really bad in Spiritless battles. R.O.B is also another sleeper pick. He's kinda like the characters here, but you have to require using up B. I mean, Side B is just like a budget version of Donkey Kong's up B without the super armor and the versatility of going through high winds. But I think your main goal is just getting him off stage and edge guarding him. So if that works, it works. And you know what? R.O.B makes it work pretty well. Okay, Villager, and I guess in this case we'll also bring in Isabelle because, hey, they're the same character. I mean, they have a lot of like fancy projectile games where you can just use the slingshot and you can just edge guard them, and Pocket can be very useful when it comes to projectile characters. But honestly, that's kind of about it. They have a great recovery, but they're also very light. So I mean, I feel like they're good enough in spirit battles at least. Not like useful, but like I'd say at least around more useful than like Bowser Jr. Actually, I would say more useful than like Samus and Dark Samus at least. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of around there. I think Villager has a bit like a better, and actually Isabelle probably has a better chance because Fishing Rod can at least cheese a lot of characters. They're great. They're pretty great. Mega Man. I mean, I don't even really know how to play Mega Man for the most part. He just kind of exists. I think he's one of those, like, since he does have a lot of projectiles, but I don't think they're like good projectiles like Dark Samus projectiles, or even like Byleth Arrow projectiles. I feel like you're definitely better than like the lightweights over here, and I would even say you're better than Robin. But aside from that, you're just kind of, you're good with Mega Man. It would be a lot higher, but I'm not good with Mega Man. Same goes with Wii Fit. I mean, I feel like Wii Fit is just way too gimmicky to be cheesable. Deep breathing, it just kind of makes you feel like you're a regular character again, but that's kind of about it. Around where Ice Climbers is. Yeah, that's a good spot. Rosalina Luma. Down B just destroys Ness and Lucas spirits, and there was a lot of them that were pretty frequent, but honestly, Rosalina is just a mashing character, and I think that's gonna get you pretty far when it comes to the Spiritless battles. If you could just spam smash attacks and edge guard with Luma, you're pretty good. I wouldn't say like edge guarding material, but I'd say you're like kind of like around Lucina. Hell, I'd say you're a better masher than Lucina. Little Mac. I would say personally, Little Mac is just not suitable for it. I would argue he's definitely like the best category when it comes to this, since you can't really like edge guard with Little Mac unless you really are confident in your ability to kill someone. But right now, all you can do is just hit hard, and I mean Ganon hits hard, Bowser hits hard, and they get more reward out of doing it. So yeah, Little Mac is kind of like bottom tier when it comes to this. And I guess after this we have the Miis, which I actually have never used the Miis in Spiritless battles, so it was a first time experience. So let's go from the beginning. Mii Brawler. Mii Brawler has one great move, and that's Soaring Axe Kick, which is basically just budget Kirby up B, which is also just budget Chrom up B. So I guess that alone kind of makes him good. I would say has multiple options. I feel like Kamikaze down B and side B also don't really work that well, but yeah, that is kind of like where Bowser is. But I feel like it feels weird to put Captain Falcon down here, actually. But honestly, Mii Brawler is just better Captain Falcon, believe it or not. I feel like I'm even putting Mii Brawler up a little too high, so yeah. Around here, this is a good place to put these two. Mii Swordfighter is the worst sword fighter in the game, but hey, at least you have some funny things that you can do. I mean, you have a lot of projectiles, and that's kind of like Toon Link, Young Link sort of thing, but I feel like you're just too clunky to be in any sort of category. You're okay. And then Mii Gunner, which is just Samus, Dark Samus without the tether grab. So yeah, you're automatically gonna be like down here somewhere, probably like right here. Yeah, I see with Lucas right here. You're fine. Then we have Palutena. I don't really use Palutena that much in Spiritless battles, but I mean Neutral Air is a pretty good move. That's pretty good. You also have a counter and a reflector, which works pretty well for the most part. That's kind of about it. You have like one or two niches. I think you're better than Corrin at least. Pac-Man, or as Pac-God referred it to some corners of the internet. Honestly, yeah, forward air change is pretty broken, and Pac-Man's Final Smash is just also really broken. Honestly, Pac-Man is just pretty damn good in general. I would say definitely better than the Samuses, definitely better than a lot of these characters. Probably where like Falco is. That's a good spot to put him. Shulk. How do I really judge Shulk? Because you have the Monado arts, which basically give you free stat boosts for free. I think Shulk is one of those characters where I feel like if the meta improves, then he'll be a top tier. But this is kind of why we made the question mark tier. He could be a top tier, he could be a bottom tier, and I don't really know where else to put him. Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt he's kind of like any other projectile characters, but I honestly feel like his projectiles just don't do that much. He's also just really weak. He's like not bad, like just not suitable for the tier list, but he's definitely like my worst character, so I'm gonna put him right there. And I'm also gonna put Ken and Ryu down here too, but not just that, I just think they're just really bad at Spiritless battles. They're genuinely really bad. I can't really think of a world where these two are great. It could also just be that I'm really bad with the characters, which more than likely is probably the case, but I struggled the most using these characters. And I don't think I've ever won using these characters legitimately. At least you're not Sheik Pichu, at least. I'll give you that. Cloud Strife is also another character in this game that is pretty good. He has a lot of strong attacks, and limit charge is just useful. Aside from your recovery, you're pretty good for the most part. Yeah, I would say probably like around Lucina or something like that. Yeah, I'd say around Lucina. Bayonetta. Pretty gimmicky. Also, kind of like Zero Suit, very gimmicky. If you have like a lot of platforms and big characters, then you're gonna do really well, but he's just kind of in Spiritless battles, which is kind of unfortunate. I really like playing Bayonetta in this game. Now we're finally up to the ultimate characters, starting with Inkling, who is very mid. I'll give it that, very mid. I feel like this is kind of where like the mid characters belong, like the characters that I just don't really see much usage out of for the most part. I'd say you're definitely kind of like around where Mewtwo stands. You're quick, but also light. That's all I got for you. Ridley's broken. I'm just gonna put where Ridley belongs, you know, up here. You basically have a command grab that just sends somebody straight to hell, and you can just stall really well on the ledge. Simple as that. I mean, Ridley is just that good. I think he requires a little bit more skill than these two brain-head, blue-haired bozos up here, but hey, I just like seeing Ridley up here because he's one of the characters I would ban. And then Simon Richter, they're obviously underneath Samus and Dark Samus. They're basically just projectiles, and that's kind of it. Their whip is pretty good for the most part, but that's kind of all I really got to say for these guys. These guys are, again, pretty boring for the most part. Then we have King K. Rool, who is a sleeper top tier. Like, I made a whole video about just using K. Rool. So yeah, you belong up here because K. Rool is awesome. Lance is also just really weird. He's, again, mid at best. Patui and I guess side B is pretty good, but you're not really going to get that far in stamina if you're using side B. It's not really going to do that much damage. He has just Patui in general. That's all that's bringing him up from being just bottom tier. That move is actually just, you're paying $5.99 for a spike ball. Joker's weird. I feel like Joker is both really good and really bad in this mode because, like, you have Arsene, which is basically just a cheater character in general. Actually, no, Joker is just broken. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat. Joker is broken. I didn't even utilize him that much, mostly because I just am not good with Joker. I would say he's one of the best characters, but only because Joker is just one of the best characters in the game. The hero is just an enigma, honestly. Like, you can either do cheesy stuff like this, or, like, if you use Hocus Pocus, you can either be big, or you could self-destruct. There's no really in-between here. So, I'm just gonna put you where Shulk is because I don't know where else to put you. Banjo is an interesting case because Banjo has Wonder Wing, which actually eliminates a lot of the assist trophy spirits. Mainly the Sheriff in the 9-volt and 8-volt battle. That thing is annoying. I'd say that, yeah, Banjo-Kazooie is actually pretty good, but only has like 1 or 2 niches. Kind of where like Ivysaur is. Kazooie is basically a sword, that's why he's better than Link. Terry is actually kind of one of the weaker ones, I won't even lie. Because your main gimmick comes out 100%, the only battles I can really see you doing pretty well is in, like, I guess when you take temporary damage over time so you can get to 100% and then use those special input moves. And sometimes they can just fail because these spirit battles can be garbage. Like, seriously, what happened in that clip? What happened there? Yeah, 1 niche and 1 niche only. Good luck getting to 100% with Terry. Min Min's broken. I mean, no one can really handle the arms off stage. They only have 1 air dodge, and you know what? I would say have multiple options, and by multiple options, I mean that 1 option. And that 1 option just kind of eliminates every character in the game. She's kind of like Ness in a way, just a 1 trick. Steve is the last character I'm going to put in this question mark, because I am extremely bad with Steve, so I don't know how good his potential is. But to be fair, no one does Spiritless with Steve, so I'm just going to assume that he's broken. But I don't know that, so I need someone to confirm that he's broken in this mode. Sephiroth is damn good. Like, I've seen from a couple of people that Sephiroth is actually just a sleeper character and has multiple options to deal with some spirits, like staying in the bottom and just using his ridiculously long moves, or Octo Slash that just kind of deals with multiple chords. I'd say he's probably one of the better characters. And then we're just going to put Pyra Mythra where the best characters in the game are, because it's Pyra Mythra. You basically have a combo character and a heavy hitter in one set. Pyra is like the main carry in this sort of one because just that sheer amount of damage and one of the easiest spikes in the game. Like a one trick, but more effective. And then Mythra, again, is just kind of combo heavy. Yeah, definitely around the bottom here. But again, to bond together, these two are broken. Then we have Kazuya Mishima. I think Kazuya is definitely the best one when it comes to these like fighting game-esque characters, because he hits the hardest, he has the best combo potential. I don't even know how CPUs can handle Kazuya combos, because I don't know how to play Kazuya. But I'm just gonna assume that Kazuya is around here somewhere, probably where Bowser is. And I think Sora is kind of where like the aerial characters are. He is very floaty and can hit multiple times. That's my philosophy here, and also as a counter. So yeah, that's kind of like the best place where I can put him. And honestly, this list is kind of rough for the most part, but it's just my personal opinion. I would really like to see people challenge my opinion on this. But hey, if you want to see more like Spiritless battles and Spiritless Smash Brothers, please let me know, because I do actually enjoy playing through something like this, because it's way more fun than just going online and being upset because you're very bad at the game. Now I can be very good at the game because these are CPUs. So let me know if I am wrong and tell me in the comment section down below. This has been Danger Boat South telling you to, I guess, do what I did and make magical star sign me's. This is the end of the video. Bye.